Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
But tell me, Eddie, is that a rabbit in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?
Hello, everybody. Welcome. My mom had perfect timing, but thankfully the call ended right before that clip ended. But yes, I'm going to be off camera tonight, mainly because actually, like, we've had strong winds today. It was actually kind of weird because the sky looked like it wanted to do something.
Did it go woo?
All day today. I'm not going to go there, but the winds actually got to like 20 to 30 miles an hour at some points, and they're still kind of going. They've slowed down a bit, but I didn't know what exactly do to my internet, so decided to stay off camera for this evening. But we will be talking basically our personal top 10 films from 1989, and for those who are new to watching these streams, these movies they're not necessarily objectively good. More often than not, they're not necessarily objectively good, but there are personal subjective lists. All right, so basically, there's gonna be when I was writing, I was like going down the list of movies that were released in 1989. I'm writing down like all the movies that came out that I remembered seeing. Basically, either strongly remembered or slightly remembered. Yahoo's yes. I was writing down. From what I remembered watching from movies made from 1989, 42.
Yeah, I had probably something like that too. It's
40,
a damn good movie year.
Yeah,
actually.
42 films at least.
Yeah.
At least. So it's like, so basically there's going to be movies, all right, there's going to be movies that, like if I were doing a top 20, would definitely be on the list, but because I had to narrow it down to 10 for like reasons, nostalgia, like personal favorites, things like that, it basically excluded other films that, are probably objectively better, but again, like I said, it's our own subjective like lists.
This year had a lot of sequels.
Yes. So, but before I say hello to the chat, Stieg, let everybody know where they can find you if you so choose them to find you.
Yeah, just follow the bat signal, and I'm gonna show up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm on Twitter, and I'm right here twice per month, and sometimes on Teresa's channel, sometimes on Tommy's channel. I'm afraid I derailed Tommy's stream yesterday with some sexual Smurf comments, but they still like me.
I'm actually not surprised. But anyway, I'm gonna say hello to the chat real fast, and then, as I said, if you're new here, basically what we do is Stieg, who's DM for our D&D group, will roll a d20 to see who goes first.
No. I'm not doing that anymore because it always lands on you.
So should I just go, or do you want to go first this time?
I have a strong feeling today. England reached the final of the Euros, and this is my day.
Okay, so answer my question.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna D20 today.
Okay. All right. But Trey, hello. Yes, your number one rhymes with Ratman 89. Shocker. But good evening, Trey. Gravy D, if you want to get nuts, let's get nuts. Yes, we'll get. So yes. And speaking of D&D, Ms. Mara Muses, one of my cohorts in crime, for our Call of Cthulhu game, which we'll be picking up relatively short order. So
yeah, I've been working on it too. I have lots of pop culture stuff lined up that you won't predict at all.
So hello, Gigawatt. So Gigawatt and Gravy can attest. I don't know about you, Trey, but can attest that there was like a lot of weirdness going on a certain Discord server this afternoon. Made it interesting. Henry V, that is a movie that came out that year, but one that I don't remember seeing.
Oh, that's a damn good movie, and I had to leave it out.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
I know. I just remember it with Kenneth Branagh, but I don't remember the quality of that one.
So. They have a Derek Jacobi walking around as a narrator too.
Mm-hmm.
dressed
I
in
wasn't- I
90s.
remember. I remember seeing parts of that movie because I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I remember that.
It's a great movie, but you know what? I've been working a little bit on the '90s movies, and there
Mhm.
will be some Shakespeare in my top 10 lists going forward.
So, Citizen Ronin, hello. And speaking of like lists going forward, I'm going to be updating the thumbnails. I'm going to try and different style when the thumbnails. But I figured I'd keep it for this one the same as the other ones I've done because we're rounding out the 1980s with this one before we start.
You
our
need
first
to like
list of
have
movies.
at least one thing representing me on the thumbnails.
Well, I'm just going to use like the movies, like from the
Yeah, I
movie,
know.
not necessarily like us.
If I have like I know one of my movies. If I have like an
Well,
obscure
I don't
one.
want to. I don't want to know necessarily because I want to. I don't want. I kind of want to be like, oh, okay, that's an interesting movie.
So you're as excited as the chat is about my choices.
I'm just curious. So I might not even include movies. I might just pick a style so like it doesn't give anything away as far as like movies.
Intrigued is a better word, really.
Yes. Bradley Scott, what is up? Mike Hill, member for 31 months. Thank you so much. Pre-ordered a copy of Godzilla -1 4-disc edition. Yeah. One of the best movies that came out.
Since it's -1, he's only get 3 discs.
That is not even. You know what? I would say that's a dad joke, but it's not even on the level of a dad joke.
Thank you.
Oh God. Anyway. Yes, I'm saying Yahoo Serious. Yes, someone recognized something from my thumbnail. Hello, Soul. Is it Jabran? I don't want to mispronounce your name, but someone recognized something from my thumbnail. Which year gave us all the most trouble? Early 80s gave me the most trouble.
84 was rough.
Well, 84 wasn't too rough for me, but like
86?
Maybe 86. Maybe 86 was a little rough. Like the early 80s, because the early 80s were like the turning point from the 70s to 80s. So like not a lot of good film, movies I remember came out.
87, because it was like 30 or 40 bangers in 87. So
now I'm saying but I'm going off like the most trouble even come up with like movies that I'd seen early 80s and 86. Because like that's like the one end where it's like, I haven't seen many movies from these years pretty much, and like just narrowed down to 10. But then the other years was like the opposite, where it's like this year I've seen 42 movies that I remember, and I had to narrow it down to 10.
I'm gonna run into trouble in the mid-90s because I was at school and then in the army and stuff, so I didn't watch as many movies when they came out as I used to. So there's very little nostalgia for me in the mid-90s.
So yeah. Roadhouse did not make my list, but it did not make my top 10 list, but again, I had to narrow it down to 10. It did make my overall list of 42 that I had seen, and come on, like who hasn't seen Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze? There's one horror movie on my list. One from that.
I have 1.5.
How does that work?
Because one of them it has a horror element, but it's not horror, really.
Well, we'll see. This is my Kick. Yeah, I do gaming. I'm basically been dual streaming on my Kick and Twitch. So this is my Kick. Rag Fear, what is up? Lucamus Prime, good to see you. This is my Twitch. Yep. Right now you're playing the Mad Max game. Speaking of Mad Max, next week and the week after, for the 1s and 2s, will be Mad Max, then Mad Max Road Warrior, or Mad Max 2, depending on where you are in the world. We'll be talking about the first 2 Mad Max films, and for the singles, we'll be talking The Legend of Tarzan, because I have not seen that movie, and then Voyage of the Demeter. So, but that's like begins next week, and then there's an extra Wednesday this month, which I'm leaving open right now.
Legend of Tarzan, is that the Greystoke one? With
I don't know.
Bear? Or is it the newer one?
The newer one.
Well, that one's good.
Okay, it's a newer one. I have not seen. I had no inclination to see it, but now it's going to be a single, so I have to watch it. So, It was an awful year. It kind of was, for at least for the franchise films. Pretty much, kind of was. Making sure I don't miss anyone. Jaluk, hello, good to see you. Yeah. Let's see. Maybe. Like I said, I have one. I have one on my list.
Wasn't that last year?
Nope.
Oh, well, it wouldn't have made my list anyway.
No. But anyway, so Stieg feels good. So Stieg is going to roll a d20, and I'm going to take 11 to 20.
Okay, this is. I'm feeling positive vibes from the north seeping into me.
Hey, Charlie.
Motherfucker. 16.
All right.
This day was going so well.
And then this happened. Like, yeah, that was visceral.
We'll talk about your stupid movie then.
Anyway, my number 10, like I said, these movies necessarily aren't objectively good, but I enjoy. Nah, this is a wicked laugh. Is Earth Girls Are Easy. All right, Earth Girls Are Easy. Oh, hush, Jacob Watts. Not all the time. But anyway, Earth Girls Are Easy. All right, so basically, it's taking their title from a song, and pretty much making a movie around it. Okay, so it's basically, the plot is based on the song, but the plot is, that's an actual title. Yes, that's an actual title. Earth Girls Are Easy. And basically, it's stars Geena Davis. She's pretty much in a loveless relationship with her doctor fiance, pretty much, and she's a manicurist at the salon. I love the names for salons, especially in 80s movies, because it's like the salon that she works at is called Curl Up and Dye, and dye spelled D-Y-E, like, hair dye. And she's basically kind of, there's no real chemistry. There's a lack in the bedroom, so to speak, between her and her fiance, and then her fiance brings another woman home, which, Geena Davis' character throws him out. And subsequently, while this is happening, these three aliens, one is covered in blue fur, one is covered in red fur, and one is covered in yellow fur, by the names of Mac, Zebo, and Whiplock. Interesting names, right? Interesting names. It ends up crash landing in her pool. Okay? And crash landing in her pool. And these aliens, yes, it's an early Jim Carrey role. Jim Carrey, it plays one of them. Damon Wayans is another one. And Jeff Goldblum is the third alien. They crash land in her pool. So she allows them to basically to drain the pool so they can repair their spaceship. And she realizes, it's like you basically like time. So short time progresses where she realizes that she's going to have to do something about like them blending in, pretty much, because they're covered in fur. So and this must not have been the strangest thing her boss has seen in LA, because it's set in the San Fernando Valley, pretty much, which is like part of like Los Angeles. So she takes these aliens to the salon to basically get shorn and everything, and then lo and behold, they look human, like three good-looking guys who basically are quick to pick up pop culture and like behavioral patterns and things like that while fixing their spaceship and observing human interactions. And I love how the human interactions, especially when Mac is played by Jeff Goldblum, and Geena Davis plays Valerie. Especially when they get together, it's kind of called anatomically compatible. Like they really, when they use terms like anatomically compatible when they do it. It's a bizarre comedy. It's literally a bizarre comedy, because these aliens like crash land in L.A. and it's like, you want to talk 80s movie, or like, and this is like an early Jim Carrey film. You should check it out if you've not seen it. Let's see. I'm just going back. Let's see. People are like putting the movies in, so let's see. Puppet Master. Heathers nearly made my list.
I've actually not seen that one.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's
I've almost watched it several times this year, actually, but ended up watching something else.
This is on my list. I've never seen it yet. You should check it out. Earth Girls Are Easy. Don't say Excellent Adventure. Yeah, I'm just talking to chat. Yeah, if you have not seen it, check it out. Earth Girls Are Easy. So, without going to details of the plot, pretty much, it's almost a typical 80s comedy. Just with the bent of the fact that, like, basically the three male leads are aliens. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's my number 10. Earth Girls Are Easy.
I guess it's my number 10 now.
Yes.
This is where I will actually shine a little extra today.
Mm-hmm.
This is my shining moment on this channel because the movie I'm talking about is available on my shit little YouTube channel. It's one of the few things on it is this movie in glorious VHS quality, as it should be, because it was direct to VHS in the first place. It is the underrated Casablanca Express. It is a war movie about a James Bond-ish character who has to rescue Churchill, because Churchill is on his way across the desert in northern Africa for a meeting, and the train gets hijacked by the Nazis. So it's a little bit of a survival thing, with the people on the plane, on the train, because there's different passengers there. The lead is played by Jason Connery. That's Sean Connery's son. The second lead is Francisco Quinn, which is Anthony Quinn's son. So, descendants playing the leads. And Donald Pleasence and Glenn Ford is in there too as supporting characters. So it's kind of World War II, slightly anti-terrorist Bond movie-ish, I guess. Cool soundtrack, lots of action. The German's really good. He says nine and he says Schneller and all the lines, which makes it excellent. So if you want to watch it, turn off your brain and go to my channel and watch one of the few videos that's on it. Because, yeah. So Casablanca Express. And the reason it's on is because a friend of mine happened to have it on VHS back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept borrowing it. Probably seen it 50 times. And Jason Connery is not bad in this. He's not as good as Sean. But then again, who is, right?
True. Very rarely does the talent pass from like the parent to offspring.
He actually looks quite a bit like Sean Patrick Flannery in this movie. Looks like they're cousins.
Okay.
So
I'm going to try to check it out because I've been like catching up on stuff recently.
This is not a must-see kind of movie though, at all. It's a subjective thing on my list. But if you have nothing to do and want to watch a World War II obscure action movie, there you go.
All right. Well, as I highlighted, sorry, here it is.
Yeah. So
right.
I actually provided a movie on my list. Nobody's done that before.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I actually am proud of myself for that because I didn't even think I could upload it without getting into trouble. But I did. I just did it and nobody cared. That's how popular that movie is.
Or how under the
On
radar your channel is to
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. Hell, I have the Droids cartoon too. You know, the old Star Wars one?
Mm-hmm.
I have the whole damn thing on my channel. Nobody cares. I'm still getting lots of views on it, too.
Meanwhile, I play like without sound snippets of scenes to show
Yeah.
dialogue, and I get hit with acclaim because of
Yeah.
fucking bots.
Well, I'm from Norway. They don't want to fuck with me.
Anyway,
Let's go with that.
okay. But how about we go to number 9, which you started?
Yes. I have a movie I got Trey to watch and review, and he loved it. Action comedy with almost a little bit of a family movie too. It's Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer and the kid from Step by Step. I think he played JT.
You
Step
talking
by
about?
Step.
Well, which?
Brandon Call. That's his name.
So the
I
older
think
son.
Yeah. I think this is his debut movie, actually. And
Okay.
You have Terry O'Quinn is in it as well. And Sho Kosugi makes a little appearance. He's known for ninja movies in the 80s. Basically, Rutger Hauer loses his eyesight in Vietnam. I think it's Vietnam. And he's trained to fight with a samurai sword, despite being blind. So he has a sword in his cane, and he's on his way to meet up with a friend of his who is in trouble with some gangsters, I guess. And they try to kidnap his son while Rutger Hauer's there. So Hauer goes on a road trip with the kid, and there's a lot of bonding and fun scenes and stuff, and they set up to save the dad. Kind of unique. In a sense, really unusual Rutger Hauer role because he plays like a really kind-hearted guy, jokes around a lot. So it's that one you'd like, I think. Definitely you would. So actually a feel-good action movie. That doesn't happen often, does it?
Not too often.
Yeah,
Don't you start gravy.
And
Anyway.
Hauer's great in this. This is one of his best movies, in my opinion. So
I think that Rutger Hauer himself is just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah.
But my number 9, if you're done talking, about is A Strange Film, and I'm probably it's probably an understatement when I say strange film, but it's a movie that I very much enjoy. And again, it basically takes the early life of an actual historical figure and turns it on its head into like this uber strange, weird take. And that's Young Einstein.
Another one I haven't seen.
It's an Australian film. I believe it came out the year prior in Australia, or at least the film festival in 1988, but wasn't released in the West, in the States, until basically 1989. And it stars Yahoo Serious, and this is the name he goes by, Yahoo Serious.
I actually remember seeing that movie at video stores all over the place when I was a kid.
All right. And he was written, produced, and directed by Yahoo Serious, and he stars in it as Young Einstein. And when I say weird, I'm saying that this is basically taking the life of an actual historical figure, Albert Einstein, taking it, altering the people, all the circumstances in his early life, relocating it to Australia. All right, it's basically, so he's a theoretical physicist in Australia, have him literally splitting the atom with a chisel and inventing rock and roll and surfing. It's a fun, weird movie. And so the scene that always stands out to me, the scene that always stands out to me is like what a scene that's like worthy of like being in a Warner Brothers cartoon. Is when like the one character picks up the shovel and like Senior says like, you know, damn Tasmanian devils. And it's like this huge bite mark out of it, out of the shovel. Like that was like that would be like right in like in one of those early Warner Brothers animated cartoons. Okay, so basically it's not like it's an Australian film, all right. So it did not do well, at least with. They were fools even back then. It is out there. It is out there.
Yeah, I have it. I haven't seen it yet. So
yeah. So, but like I said, it's just a fun, weird movie, basically. Turning into a Willy Wonka version of Doctor Who. All right, so you're not supposed to take this movie seriously. Literally, you're not supposed to take it seriously. So, but I had to include it on my list because I remember that one particular scene, and just how bizarre. Chuck Hicks himself, yeah. Music video for Einstein, yeah. So if you have not seen it, or if you have not seen it in a while, I suggest watching it at least once. It basically became a cult classic here in the States. As far as I know, it was well received in its home country, but here it basically became a cult classic, like essentially a cult classic. Not as popular as other movies, like that eventually made their way into that cult classic status, but once like basically went to like VHS. Things like that. That's when like people started like, oh, like basically watching it and knowing what the movie was. So, but yeah, it's pretty much like I said, a very comedic, very bizarre take on Albert Einstein's early life. So there's that young Einstein. So I had to include it on my list. And on the thumbnail, the guy making the peace sign, that's Yahoo Serious. So that's my number 9, Young Einstein. All right, so might do a watch party for that. I don't know, because
not to be confused with Hung Einstein. That's a different one.
God knows.
Make sure your spelling's right when you search for it.
My God. Anyway, my number 8 is a John Candy film. Probably one of my favorite John Candy films. And that is basically essentially a comedy drama, basically, but more of a comedy than anything. And that's Uncle Buck, pretty much, where his brother and sister-in-law have to go to her, like his sister-in-law's father, because her father had a heart attack, and they're trying to find people to watch the kids, and everyone that they would normally call is unable to do it. Yeah, Uncle Buck was 1989, and well, that leaves for them to be able to call and watch the kids. John Candy's character, who is basically the name of the movie, Buck. Uncle Buck. All right. Whom the sister-in-law believes is unreliable and a bad influence, and basically like allowing like Buck to watch the kids. It kind of helps him grow up a little bit. That's why, like, you know, it's like I think like this, like, which is very much why I love this movie, where it's like there's actual character development with the main character. Because he is kind of unreliable. He's a smooth talker. He tries to like talk his way out of stuff. And is arguably not really the best influence, right? Especially like, you know, for little kids. But at the same time, like he like in watching these kids and being in a situation where he kind of has to be forced to mature, he ends up maturing to an extent, but he ends up maturing.
You, you know what? John Candy had trains, planes, and automobiles, The Great
Mhm.
Outdoors, and this one all in a row. He was on a roll in the late 80s.
Yeah, like he was like very good. Like I said, this is one of my favorite John Candy movies. I like. There's so many good ones. Um, but I especially love like while he's like I said, he's not the best influence. He's also in a way the best parent for like particular situations when it comes to his nieces and nephew. And particularly with the older daughter, who's kind of in that rebellious stage, and she's dating a guy that's pretty much a literal piece of shit. And I love how Uncle Buck handles the situation. I love how basically how he handles the situation and how he basically develops a bond with his nieces and nephew. So, not going into too much details. If you have not seen it, I recommend it because I like how he. I like also how he handles the what was she, like a principal in his one niece's school, because his like niece was not acting up, but she's precocious pretty much. And I love how John Candy puts this woman in her place. Oh, like he makes a huge pancake. I remember like kids like like wanting that like the huge like the really big pancake to eat.
Yeah, that was the thing. You know what? I first watched this movie at a friend's birthday party when we were kids,
Mm-hmm.
and the whole birthday party made his mom make pancakes.
Yes, it might like do it as a watch party like that like what like Uncle Buck, young Einstein. I like you have much more nose hair than my dad. Just like the conversation he has with, I believe that was the combo he had with Macaulay Culkin's character.
You know what? Do a Blind Fury watch party
Mm-hmm.
since you haven't seen it.
Well, that I would watch on my own first because with the watch parties, people typically talk
Oh
during
yeah,
the movie.
those bastards.
I'm not saying that as like criticism. I'm just saying that it's like if I'm going to watch a movie I haven't seen yet, I'd watch it myself first and then do a watch party of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that is my number 8, which is your turn for your number 8.
Yeah. Here's my horror movie. Jason Takes Manhattan.
Okay, that did not make my list, but I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, I felt confident you had it on your list, actually. But
No,
yeah.
that's not the horror movie that made my list.
Oh,
Even though like he takes Manhattan for all of 10 minutes.
yeah. But mostly he's on a boat.
Yes, mostly he's on a boat.
Yeah. Basically, since the last movie, he's been at the bottom of the lake, and then apparently the lake is connected to the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean.
Yes, somehow.
How does that even work? I
Movie
don't know.
magic. Movie.
Oh.
I mean, like, and what like number 8, he somehow is able to like teleport.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who knows? Maybe the
is-
boat teleported to the Atlantic Ocean.
This is absolutely a turn your brain off
Yes.
horror movie, and it's not a good movie, but it's fun
Mm-hmm.
because you have a lot of stereotypes, I guess, in this movie that gets killed
a
off.
lot of them, so, like because basically it's a high school graduation esque boat ride. So you got like the clicks going on.
Yeah. You have a guy who's obsessed with playing rock and roll. You have a black guy that's into boxing
Mm-hmm.
that thinks he can box Jason to death on a rooftop later on in the movie. Let's just say he loses that boxing match.
Now this I respect. I remember the actor who played Jason said he refused to kick a dog, saying even as a killer character he'd never do it. So he changed it to a boombox. That I respect.
Yeah.
That I respect.
It was
And
probably
it actually works better as a boombox, because then all he does is turn around and just scare the shit out of those little punks.
Yeah. Yes, it does. It's probably Kane Hodder in this.
Yeah, he was in the later ones.
Yeah. Well, this is number 8.
No, I'm saying
So
it's like it's like it's there's multiple people play Jason, so it might have been Kane Hodder at that point.
yeah. He's actually in another movie I have on my list too. I think so. Anyway, yes, he is. Anyway,
Nice. Okay,
it's
sorry.
basically Jason takes over a boat,
Yeah, it pretty much
and
is.
then when there's only a few left, the boat crashes onto Manhattan, and he starts following them through Manhattan and chasing them and killing them off for some reason. He really I mean, he has the whole of Manhattan to kill.
Yeah, I know, but he's like zoned in on the main chick and the guy who's crushing on her or something.
Yeah, and in this movie, he also is, oddly enough, at the end, he's afraid of water,
Yeah,
and which is weird because he walks out of the ocean onto Manhattan, not afraid of the water 10 minutes earlier.
I know.
But very entertaining just for the kills, and rewatchable, isn't it? It's guilty pleasure
It
galore.
kind of is as a guilty pleasure, rewatchable. It's not like I said, it's not good. It's
It's
entertaining.
better than the previous one, or rather, it's more entertaining than the previous one.
Yeah.
6 is probably still my favorite though. When
They bring him back like Frankenstein's monster. Yeah.
yeah, that one's awesome actually.
Hmm.
But it had turned into a joke at this point. The franchise, it had, they were
Well,
releasing
especially
them just,
since they piss people off as number 5.
yeah. 5 is the worst.
Yeah, because of what they tried to do.
Yeah,
Which I could kind of see their reasoning behind it, but at the same time, it's like when you're coming into a movie that's called Friday the 13th Part 5, and they pull that little bait and switch
yeah.
scenario,
It's,
I can understand
yeah.
people getting pissed off.
I guess they tried a kind of a reboot to make like Jason infects you and then it spreads to the next person or
Something
something.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't work.
Hmm.
It might have been a good idea on paper,
Yeah.
but it just wasn't.
Mhm.
But I'm not saying that this movie was good on paper or anything either. But
No.
at least it was very entertaining.
Yes. See, the thing with Halloween 3 is that it never was supposed to be a franchise centered on Michael Myers. Like they really had to convince John Carpenter to come back just to do the second one. But the original idea they had for the Halloween IP essentially was that it would be different stories taking place on Halloween. But the problem they faced is that people associated the movies with Michael Myers at that point, even with the second movie at that point. So when they
Yeah.
tried going what they wanted to do, that's what ticked people off. But they at least had that idea from the get-go going
Yeah.
forward. Whereas
3 actually did it right.
yeah,
in a
whereas
way.
Friday the 13th, it made absolutely no sense doing it after part 4, and you firmly established that this is a franchise centered on, at this point, Jason.
Yeah.
It made no sense.
Still, Halloween 3 is weird as hell. I like it.
It's fucking weird.
Yeah, but it's so rewatchable.
Hmm. So like at least like then, yeah, I can understand people getting ticked off, but I don't really blame the studio because that's not something that's like just on the go, like on the like whim they switched. They actually had that plan. It just didn't work. But yeah, so we are on number 7.
Yeah, my turn again.
Yes.
This is my half horror movie, Warlock.
Okay, I have seen that.
Yeah,
I have seen
Ba-
that years ago, but I have seen that because
Yeah,
that's with
Julian Sands.
Julian. I was gonna say Julian Sands. May he rest in peace. Julian Sands.
Yeah,
'Cause I just watched a movie called Rose Red, again recently, and he was in that. And I remember he's in Warlock.
yeah. Well, it's basically a warlock and a witch hunter gets transported from. I guess it's back during the Salem trials or something.
Around that time, yeah, and he's transported
Yeah.
to the future.
Yeah, and the warlock wants an object that also gets transported into the future. I can't remember what it was. If it was a book, I think it was a book.
I just remember he targeted this woman.
Oh, it was a grimoire, spell book.
Okay, because he was
And
targeting this woman because she had it or something.
yeah, the book ended up. The book and the witch hunter ended up near her.
Because yeah, because
And
like she has to escape with the witch hunter. So I
yeah,
remember at one point like he's yeah
well, he basically curses her so that she ages faster,
yeah
just for the hell of it, really. And they kind of have to. It's almost like reverse Terminator. That they're chasing the Terminator in a way,
yeah
and so they're trying to stop him from getting the book.
yeah.
And great humor from the guy who plays the witch hunter. Is it Richard Grant? Is that his name?
Oh, I'd have to look it up because like I
Yeah,
said, I've seen that movie. I know I've seen that movie.
yeah. He's great in it.
But it's like
So
years ago, so I didn't add it to my list because I don't remember it well enough. But I remember like Julian Sands.
yeah, so it's a supernatural road movie thriller.
Let's see.
That's reverse Terminator, I guess. Because every time they catch him, he tries to kill him. You know,
I just
Richard
looked it up on IMDb.
I think it's Richard E. Grant who plays the hero.
Let me see.
But anyway,
Yeah, Richard E. Grant plays Giles Redfern.
yep. Yeah, fun movie, rewatchable. Very, very 80s, including the special effects. I mean, it's oozing of the 80s. Julian Sands is excellent as the villain. Richard E. Grant is great. I
Certainly
can remember-
excellent in like everything he does, or everything he did, I should say, because again, rest in peace.
Yeah, he was the main choice for Lestat in Interview with the Vampire. That's who the author wanted. It wasn't Tom
No
Cruise.
offense to Tom Cruise, but I would have preferred seeing Julian Sands.
Yeah, but yeah, Warlock. It kind of semi-classic 80s movie. Would you agree with that?
I'd say yeah. I mean, like, it's probably not well known.
Yeah,
But
it's one
like,
of those.
but it's like it's very 80s, like quintessential 80s. If you like for the horror-esque genre.
It's one of those that didn't do well at the cinema, I think, but really shown in in the VHS market.
Yeah.
Same as with the Tremors.
Yep.
So, yeah.
There are a number of movies that came out in the 80s that did not do well box office wise, but reached the wide audience when they went to VHS and people started renting them, and then like this movie's actually good.
And then all of a sudden you were allowed to buy movies. That was a game changer.
Yes.
Like shit, I can have my own video rental place. People did that.
Yeah.
They bought a bunch of movies and rented them out for money to their friends. I shit you not.
Oh, I believe it. I didn't do it. Never really experienced that, but I full on believe people took advantage of that.
Oh hell yeah.
Especially because, like, basically, if you were to look at the prices of VHS players back then, as compared to like what they ended up being cost wise, like if you had the money for that, like you were set. Like basically, you were set, and not a lot of people had the money to be able to do that. At least to do that and be able to basically build their library of films.
Yeah, my uncle had 2 VHS players, so he used to rent movies and copy them.
Yeah.
If you had an empty tape, you could actually put two movies on one tape. So he had a library. Holy shit!
Yeah, VHS players were expensive back then.
Yeah, but
They were very expensive back then.
It changed in the 90s when they started selling movies.
Yeah,
that's when that stuff started to take off a bit. Being able to buy movies, that's when the players became a lot more cheap as well.
Yeah. So, but okay, so, well, my number 7 is an actual horror movie. Like I said, it's not the last Friday the 13th movie, and it's not Nightmare on Elm Street number 5. So, what could it be?
Is it a Hellraiser one?
Nope. No Hellraiser movie was released that year. Puppet Master.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of half horror too.
So, well, it's more horror than anything,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah, definitely more horror than Warlock.
yes, and
I just watched it.
if you watch like the movies following it, there's continuity be damned, pretty much.
Yeah, I think you told me to watch it. Was it last week on the stream?
Yeah,
we
I said
did?
like to give them a try, basically.
Yeah,
Like,
I did. I watched the first one.
yeah,
And another movie you told me to watch. Um, can't remember what that was.
I can't remember. I tell you to watch so much. I can't remember what I
Yeah,
wrote.
I watched two of them, and then one of them I gave a 5 out of 10, and you got pissed, and then you cooled down a bit when I gave Puppet Master a 7.
Well, I can't remember what the anyway, but basically, Puppet Master, 1989, written by Charles Band. I believe
Oh.
Charles Band was associated with the production company Full Moon Pictures.
It was They Live. I didn't like it that
Yes.
much.
Well, I mean, I think even Trey judges you for that.
Oh yeah, he was vocal about it, bastard. But that's fair.
Maybe at some point we can talk about the soundtracks that that came out in the '80s sub. But right now we're just doing movies. But there were a lot of good tracks.
Cobra.
80s, yeah.
Cobra has an insane soundtrack.
But basically, Puppet Master released in 1989, and basically it like begins with like it's set like 50 years prior, so around like 1939, where the puppeteer Andre Toulon, again continuity be damned in movies following this, basically. So Andre Toulon's origin story changes from movie to movie to movie, like pretty much following the second one primarily, but again, there's really no continuity, especially with Toulon's origin story when it comes to these films. They're still entertaining, but don't look for anything like remotely resembling continuity from one film to another with this franchise. All right, but Andre Toulon is basically putting finishing touches, like he's working on his puppets. Then he's accosted by these Nazis who are trying to break down his door. Okay, and before they're able to break in, Toulon commits suicide after he finishes working on his last puppets, pretty much. However, what the Nazis don't know, but what the audience knows, is that these puppets they're essentially alive. They're essentially alive, and then it fast forwards about 50 years, so basically sets in 1989 when the movie comes out, when these psychics are contacted to basically go to this house and see if they can basically sense what could be going on this premises. Basically, this is like Toulon's property. So they're basically there's one that says basically. I'm trying to think. Like one's like able to to have premonitions. You have psychic researchers and things like that. Very 80s, very 80s. And then basically like what we know, the puppets are alive and they start killing off the psychics. And we find out kind of the reason why, what's happening with the puppets and ultimately Toulon. Okay, I don't want to go into details. Don't want to go into details necessarily because it's one of those where it's like, I don't want to give too much away when it comes to the film. And I think in terms of a unique horror franchise plot, it's actually very good in my opinion. But you have, I'm trying to remember the puppets' names. Tunneler, you have Leech Woman,
This one guy with
Pinhead, Blade, the one with the knives, Six Shooter, but I don't think Six Shooter's in the first one.
No,
but you see him in later ones where it's he has 6 arms. That's why he's called Six Shooter.
in the first one there was a guy with a drill on his head and one that punched.
That's Tunneler.
And then the main one, it was like a little vampirish lady, and then
That's Leech Woman. That's Leech Woman.
and then a guy that just had a knife. He was on the cover.
That's Blade. Basically, that's like the main one. So whenever you like he's the main one. So anybody who knows the Puppet Master of like franchise, whenever you think of like the Puppet Master puppets, he's, I would say, arguably the one people think of. That one. And like Trey said, he's basically the leader of the puppets.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, you know, they introduced different puppets in the later films, and I remember one being Six Shooter.
Thank you for the D&D idea.
God damn it. Anyway,
those three creatures.
Yes, but Puppet Master is my number 7. I think arguably all of the films, to an extent, are enjoyable to watch. You just had to kind of turn your brain off because they keep changing the origin story for Andre Toulon when it comes to these films. So you're like, wait a minute, you have him like born this year, but in the movie prior, he was born this year, and then the movie after that, they changed his origin again. So it's like, just turn your brain off.
Think of them as a series
watch
of...
for the kills, because like they're like creative when it comes to like, you know, what the puppets can do.
So basically, think of them as a series of what if stories, almost.
Yes, pretty much, yeah. So, but they're in my opinion, entertaining to an extent. Like, they're all entertaining to an extent.
Oh.
So, yeah, Puppet Master is my number 7.
Oh, you have to do 6 then.
Yes, I have to do number 6, and my number 6 is an animated film, and it's an animated film that it's kind of hard for me to watch, because of what happened to the little girl who voices one of the characters in this movie. But I had to include it on my list because I remember it's very nostalgic for me. I grew up watching it. I remember very loving it, enjoying it very much. It's basically have voices of Dom DeLuise, Burt Reynolds, the little girl's voice by Judith Barcy. Again, that's what makes it difficult for me to watch this movie, because of knowing what happened to this little girl. But that's All Dogs Go to Heaven. This was her final film role, her final voice role before tragedy struck. And I'm not going to go into details, but it's very tragic what happened to this little girl. And it's basically her final role. And it's basically, it says All Dogs Go to Heaven, where Burt Reynolds voices a character named Charlie B. Barkin. Okay. And he's murdered by his former friend called Carface, like another dog. Pretty much, basically, Charlie and Carface are dogs. Itchy is another dog that's basically a friend of Charlie's, voiced by Dom DeLuise. And Charlie, basically, because when he's murdered, goes to heaven. But he doesn't want to be in heaven, so he escapes and essentially becomes almost a guardian angel to this little girl. But his primary reason for wanting to escape heaven is because he wants to get revenge on Carface. All right. So, but like I said, his initial reason is because he wants to get revenge on Carface. All right. But in a shocking turn of events, because of character development and things that are non-existent in films nowadays, he actually learns important lessons. He actually grows as a character, even though he's not technically not alive. He grows as a character when he essentially becomes a guardian of sorts to this little girl voiced by Judith Barcy. Her character's name is Anna Marie. She's an orphan, and he basically learns lessons about friendship, what it means to actually be a friend, kindness, love, and things like that. She's the voice of Ducky. So, again, not gonna go into details, but like I said, it's oh my god, a film that can teach you lessons without beating you over the head with them. And there's a scene that Burt Reynolds that was added later on in the production of the film after what happened to Judith. All right, so if like basically you want to look up what happens to her, you go ahead because I don't want to go into details on what happened to her because it was incredibly sad, incredibly sad. But
I
after
just
what
looked it up.
Yeah, after
I
what
just
happened to
hope
her.
I just hope her dad is not in heaven.
Yeah.
He deserves to be somewhere else.
Yes. So so after what happened to her, like she had finished voicing, like she had finished doing the voice work for her lines, and the scene where Charlie is saying goodbye, Burt Reynolds said like basically he recorded those lines and they added it into the film. So basically that's kind of like Burt Reynolds saying that to Judith, to the little girl.
She was actually very good in Jaws 4.
Yes. So he did that basically as a eulogy of sorts to Judith when Charlie is saying goodbye in that like scene later on in the movie. Which like again makes it difficult to rewatch this movie knowing all that, but still I had to include it on my list because I grew up watching it. It's very entertaining, still holds up. Story wise and animation wise, still holds up, still funny. And I'd say basically like it's transcends time with the lessons it teaches. So All Dogs Go to Heaven, number 6.
My turn now?
Yes.
2 of them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have an all-time favorite as number 6. Best of the Best. Highly underrated martial arts movie. Have you seen that one?
Again, years ago, because there's movies I had to like not include on my list because I did not remember them that well.
Yeah, well, it's Eric Roberts, Chris Penn, and 3 others are to compete in a cross-national event, I guess. Karate, or is it Kung Fu? No, Taekwondo. That's what it is. Against South Korea. And one of the Americans, who's an Asian American, his brother was killed by one of the Korean fighters back in the day. So he's there for revenge a bit too. They're being trained by James Earl Jones and Sally Kirkland. I think her name is, a blonde one that was in all kinds of movies. So it's basically, a team bonding, team spirit build up, and preparation for a fight that they most likely is gonna, the contest, they're probably gonna lose it because the Koreans are, way more skilled. And excellent fighting in the movie. Superb 80s martial arts action soundtrack. And there's a twist at the end. Should I say it? Maybe?
No, if people haven't seen it, I would say watch. Don't say what the twist is.
It actually has a good twist though, and there's I guess a big message at the end too. But Eric Roberts is pretty good in it, and the American team also ends up in a bar fight in the movie where they beat up Kane Hodder. So I have 2 Kane Hodder movies potentially on my list.
You definitely do, because they confirmed that Kane became Jason beginning with movie number 7.
Okay.
So you have 2 Kane Hodder films on your list.
Yeah, he's the most represented actor on my list today, actually.
That's interesting.
As far as I can tell, that's pretty good.
Well, not bad.
But yeah, best of the best. It's if you like movies like Kickboxer and Karate Kid, Bloodsport, you're gonna like best of the best. I think. Avoid the sequels though, because they turn into action movies, just shooting and stuff.
Okay. I had to rewatch it because there were a number of movies where I was like, I do remember seeing them, but it's been so long.
Yeah, that's it. Trey Courtney vaguely remember. Watch it, Trey. you're going to have a blast with this, I think. Because I got Trey to watch the last Kumite, and he liked that one. You're definitely going to like this one. It's a given. Anyway, that's my number 6, best of the best.
Okay.
You would think with a title like that it would be number 1, but it's not.
Not. But number 5.
Yeah, number 5 also has some martial arts in it. A lot of fighting. Roadhouse.
Like I said, if this was like a top 20 list, Roadhouse would have made the list, but I had to narrow it down. So I had to exclude Roadhouse.
This one and Best of the Best, and Casablanca Express. I used to borrow those movies from the same friend back in the day. He had a few movies, but yeah, Roadhouse. Again, great soundtrack. Mostly by that blind fellow. I can't remember his name.
Stevie Wonder.
No, Canadian guy with a mullet. He was blind due to cancer, and but he played a guitar anyway. So he basically put the guitar on his lap, and he plays a character in the movie too. Jeff Healey.
Okay.
Yeah, rest in peace. Passed away a decade ago, maybe. He's awesome. Patrick Swayze is awesome in it. Kelly Lynch is in it, I believe. That's David Lynch's daughter. And the great what's his name? The guy, plays westerns. Long white mustache, was in Tombstone.
Sam Elliott. I was going to say it doesn't really narrow it down, but Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott's in it. He's awesome in it. Basically, Swayze plays a bouncer, and the locals in the town hire him because they're having extra trouble in town with some hooligans working for a local rich guy. And fights ensues and turns into like a bouncers versus criminals, I guess. Lots of fighting, and yeah, it's awesome. They shouldn't have remade it ever.
Nope.
Just leave it as it is. It's a great movie. 8 out of 10, I'd say. One of Swayze's best.
Oh yeah, like the movie itself is very good. I did not bother with the remake because one, I don't trust Hollywood nowadays, even though I know from my experience from watching movies that Hollywood has been remaking their own shit for decades now. So this is would be nothing new. But there are some movies that just should not be touched.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna remake movies, how about remake the bad ones that bombed at the box office and see if you can maybe do better the second time around. I'm just saying, they always think they can make easy money by remaking people stuff that people love, and they end up making crap.
Yeah, it's just
well, it's not woke, so it's good. Yeah, I love that.
If a remake can't add to it or improve it, don't do it.
I'm saying it's if they're going to remake anything, which is I'd still judge them for lack of creativity, but if they were to remake anything, remake stuff that did not do well.
Yeah.
And say maybe you could add to it. Maybe you can bring someone in that has maybe is a better writer, better score, better whatever, better acting. Maybe you could improve it and it actually would do well. But they always go for what they think would be easy money because they pick movies that they know people already like. And think, well, they're going to watch it anyway because they already like the original. And people were like, we don't want this. Yeah, like they did with My Bloody Valentine. I don't know what people think of the original, but My Bloody Valentine, the remake, is actually better than the original movie. In my opinion. I prefer the remake. But anyway. Yeah, so number 5.
Yeah.
My turn is a school drama. one of the ones one of my favorites, and one of my favorite Morgan Freeman performances. All right. Basically, how if I were handling a school that, shall we say, sorry, I'm losing my voice, chat, from talking, that is on the brink of collapse because of the bad elements. All right, from the bad element. When I say bad elements, I mean like the criminal types, even as kids, even as like students that are infecting the school, that are teachers are afraid, other children can't learn as a result. So basically, the school is in jeopardy of being closed down, and like these kids having nowhere to really go. Yeah, it's pretty ghetto, pretty much.
Probably extra relevant now.
Yeah, but it's Lean on Me. One of my favorite Morgan Freeman performances is based on a true story. Now, again, don't get your history from Hollywood, but it's based on a true account, basically. And Morgan Freeman plays, like the character he plays based on the real life individual Joe Clark, who is brought in because this school really needs to be turned around. It really needs to be turned around. The grades need to improve. The test scores need to improve. Otherwise, like I said, the school is in jeopardy of being shut down because of how bad it has gotten. And in a desperate attempt to save this school, Joe Clark is brought in. And I love how, this is why one of my favorites, like Morgan Freeman performances, and like I said, it's how I would handle the situation, where he basically comes in and like immediately asks for a list of all the students who have basically been in trouble, whether detention, suspended, things like things like that, constantly, like they are the troublemakers in the school, and he lines them all up on the stage and just in one go expels them from the school. You are kicked out, because getting rid of them allows him to focus on the teachers, allows the other students to focus on actually learning. And it's an honest about youth at the time. It was an honest portrayal of the youth of the time, and I love the scene, the scene on the thumbnail, pretty much, where this one kid who was expelled actually doesn't want to be expelled. He actually wants to be in school, and he convinces Joe Clark to allow him to stay in school. So Joe Clark, allows basically, okay, I'm going to give you one more chance. Yeah, he chain locks the doors as well, which, yes, I know is a fire hazard, but at the same time he does so the bad elements can't get back in. Because if you watch the beginning of this movie, holy shit, is it insane, because you have a teacher getting his brains beaten on the floor by one of these students when he tries to break up a fight. You have drugs being sold in the school and everything, so basically he literally has to come in and clean up out the bad elements to get this school to stay open.
Yeah, harsh measures are needed.
Yep, and
which is something they should do. Something they should start doing today. Movie
is I remember seeing this. I can't remember what the actress's name is. I gotta look it up real fast. She plays the mother of one of the students that was kicked out. Anyway, but I first saw her actually on a show called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And then I saw her in this role, and I was like, holy shit, she actually has range.
I had a video game. Where's Carmen Sandiego? It was like an educational game.
And yeah, and like she's the mother of one of the students that was kicked out, and she makes it basically her mission to get Joe Clark fired. So it's like she does everything in the book to try to get him fired. And so basically get him fired so that way her son can get back into school. But like I said, based on true events, there's an actual Joe Clark. This did happen, roughly did happen. Hey, Lindsay has a solid year for movies, and so I had it's one of my favorite school dramas, so I had it included on the list. Well, he had a game, but the show itself was one of those educational ones where he had no geography. Yeah, Morgan Freeman was perfect for the role.
Yeah, that was the game. You basically had to solve geography questions.
Yeah, but the show. I remember watching the show basically, and you had to actually know, you had to know geography to be able to answer questions.
Yeah, that's exactly what the video game was too.
So But yeah, so Lean on Me, number 5.
Oddly addictive.
I used to watch it. So it's like that's kind of how I know geography better than most people today.
Yeah.
But anyway, number 4 is another animated film, because I'm starting number 4, that I had to include because it was my favorite Disney film when I was younger, when I was growing up, and still holds up today. And the fact that they butchered it with the fucking live action remake still pisses me off. And that's Little Mermaid.
Never seen it.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly a break your neck to see movie, but I had to include it, like I said, because it's my favorite. It was my favorite Disney movie when I was younger. Basically, the story, it's literally a happy ending version of like the actual fairy tale, because the actual fairy tale itself is not happy ending whatsoever. So Disney basically took the fairy tale and made it into a happy ending one, where Eric
And
basically
also gave her crabs.
oh, shut up. Or like Ariel, mermaid is like very curious about the human world, despite like her father trying to keep her from like going to the surface and everything like that. And one time when she goes to the surface, when she sees fireworks happening, she falls in love with a human, and she wants to be with the human is Prince Eric. She wants to be with Prince Eric, and so to do so, she goes to the witch Ursula. And Ursula says, okay, I can give you human legs, but you have to give me something in return. And in return, she takes Ariel's voice. So basically, Ariel has to convince, without being able to say anything, Prince Eric to fall in love with her to break, basically, the contract, the curse, and so she can get her voice back. And when Ursula realizes that, holy shit, she's actually close to getting the prince to fall in love with her, she basically interferes. And that's essentially not going into the ending. That is the Little Mermaid. And it's a classic Disney film. So you have like songs like Under the Sea, Part of Your World. Grim Fairy Tale. Like the fairy tale itself is, like I said, very dark. It is not a happy ending.
Disney used to be great up until I guess 2010 or something like that. Then it changed. Classic Disney they had bangers all the time.
Yeah, I'm the same, Lindsay. Essentially, but yeah, like I said, it's like basically like even into the 90s, they were still like top when it came to animated movies, and then just went downhill. Started going downhill. Yeah, I'm saying like you read the actual like fairy tale itself, it is not. They took out the dark elements. They took out the dark parts, so they could make it a happier story, essentially. Because in the original fairy tale, she does not get the prince.
They kind of have to if they're making animated movies for kids.
I know. I'm just saying, like in the original fairy tale, she doesn't get the prince.
Yeah.
And she actually, in a sense, commits suicide. So not a happy ending. But again, Little Mermaid, number 4. So I had to include it. So your turn, and not to rush, but I do have to right out around 10. Sorry.
Yeah, my number 4 is License to Kill, one of my favorite Bond movies, and the last one starring Timothy Dalton, because there was some kind of legal shit happening with the franchise, so. There would not be another one until 95. And that was GoldenEye, which was written for Timothy Dalton. But basically, very different Bond movie. It's a revenge movie. It's nobody's trying to take over the world or anything. It's Bond going after I think it's a Mexican gangster played by Robert Davi. Benicio del Toro plays the henchman. And this is a gritty Bond movie. This would be a hard R today.
But then it was like PG-13, right?
No, I don't think so. I think it was rated R back then too. It's rather graphic at times. One guy gets stuffed into a diver's thing, and they increase the pressure and then cut the hose so he explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see it too. But yeah, Timothy Dalton, the only Bond actor that actually plays Bond as he is in the novels, which technically makes him the best Bond because he's playing the actual Bond, right?
Well, technically,
Yeah.
Jigma says it was PG-13, so I was right.
Oh, well, it would definitely be R today.
I'm saying like if you look at 80s films, like the rating system changed.
Yeah.
I think the 80s films kind of like made them alter the rating system because some movies that are PG-13 then would be R today.
Yeah. Anyway, Bond movie, great. I love it. So, yeah, Q is great in it too.
Yeah, like I said, like Sherry points out, Jaws was PG.
Yeah,
and I'd say it'd be PG, like PG-13 at the least now.
Yeah, they didn't have PG-13 when Jaws came out. That was invented for Temple of Doom.
Yeah. So yeah, the PG-13 rating, which the movie you just talked about got, but on the current scale, it would be an R.
Yeah, on the fact that there's smoking in it.
Yeah,
that's an R rating today. It's insane, and people doing drugs too. There's a lot of drugs in this.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying, like, like look at films like back then, like mid to late 70s into the 80s, and you're looking at things like that's PG, that's PG-13, that's like this shit's happening. That would be an R.
Yeah. Oh, the villain from the Mortal Kombat movie is in it too. Used to play a lot of evil Asian.
You're talking about the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I know who you're talking about. Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie. Something. He looks pure evil.
I know he's probably the nicest guy in the world.
Oh yeah.
But, he looks pure evil. He looks like he's a perfect villain look.
Yeah. He plays a ninja in it actually.
Yeah, thank you, Terry Tagawa. I was like, Carrie's. I can see his face.
Yeah, he is awesome. Anyway, License to Kill.
Right.
Great Bond movie.
Okay.
And as number 3,
yes.
I have Batman. Batman 89.
Batman 89 is my number 1.
When it came out, there was Batman stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the Commodore 64 I had like a slipcase around it with the Batman logo on it. And it included a Batman game, based on the movie. It was Batman stuff everywhere. I had the car as well, little toy car.
The car was. I love the look of the car in the first one.
Michael Keaton nails it as Batman, but he's not as good Bruce Wayne, I think.
I kind of disagree there, but he very much nails it as Batman, and this is like perfect example of audiences judging an actor before he's actually shown what he can do in a role, because people were like, "Isn't that Mr. Mom?"
Yeah,
he was doing certain roles up until this point, and
he got a lot of shit on it, and he called it out too when the movie was a success.
Yeah,
at a talk show, he's like, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah,
But yeah, it's great. The soundtrack is awesome, and this one and the sequel are the only ones who have done Gotham right.
Oh yeah, because Gotham is. I keep saying Gotham itself is a character.
Yeah,
they never get it right. At least the recent movies never get it right.
Gotham is like Middle Earth.
Yeah,
it needs to work. And yeah, but I'll let you chime in too, since you have it as number 1.
Well, like it basically was like Trey said, it's basically what made me a Batman fan. Pretty much, it's like what started my basically my love of Batman and his rogues gallery of villains was watching Batman 89, and to an extent, I think the best live action adaptation of the Joker, as I picture the Joker from the comics and so forth, was Jack Nicholson's portrayal. Was he over the top? Yes, he was over the top in his scenes, but at the same time, it's like it works because that's the character. He's so you're looking at the actual character. Whereas I think he's a perfect adaptation because he does a perfect blend of serious and over the top antics with the character, which works for the Joker.
Would
Whereas Cesar Romero was like more over the top in his like zaniness, which is like works for the Adam West Batman series, but overall like too zany for me. And then Heath Ledger was not the Joker at all, in my opinion. He was too serious.
Well, basically, Jack Nicholson played the Joker as the Joker was at that time.
I know. I'm saying it's
yeah.
that is, but like if you're looking even as the Joker character from the comics, and even to the animated series, he was the perfect live action blend of serious and because the Joker is called the Clown Prince of Crime.
Yeah.
And like you have to have that blend of he's serious when he needs to be, but then he's maniacal at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is like I think Jack Nicholson was perfect casting for that. He works. Yeah, where does he get those wonderful toys? It worked, and it worked within the setting of Gotham that Tim Burton created. This is Tim Burton, who did Beetlejuice, that also starred Michael Keaton, like did Batman.
Yeah, and Michael Gough as Alfred was perfect. That's the best Alfred.
Yes. I think it's pronounced Go.
No, it's Gough.
You sure?
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced Go.
It's Scottish. It's there's been a lot of international Scottish football players named Gough. Okay.
But yeah, so Batman 89 is my number one.
And Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent.
Yes.
Nobody complained.
No.
Really,
no one complained because
wasn't virtue signaled or anything.
Nope. Just hey, it's Billy D. Williams playing Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
Okay. Virtue signal wasn't done to pat the studios pat themselves on the back or anything like that. It was just we're hiring Billy D. Williams because he's a good actor.
Yeah, and they should have kept him because he would have been better than Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, he would have. Tommy Lee Jones was not a good Two-Face. He
was bad in that movie.
Yeah, like Two-Face is not over the top like that.
Yeah, he basically played the Joker.
Yeah, it was too zany for Two-Face.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey, on the other hand, even though he was a little too zany, in my opinion, was a good Riddler when he turned into the Riddler. That's where zany works to a degree. Yeah. But even he was too over the top, in my opinion.
Oh, I hated him in that movie.
I'm saying it's like for the character.
I liked Val Kilmer in it, actually.
Yeah. But because he was trying to see, the thing is, like, you shouldn't be trying to outdo the other actor. You should be playing the character. That would have been the way to outdo Jim Carrey, is to actually had the better performance as the character you're portraying.
Yeah.
Ironic, anyway. But yeah, so.
Yeah, that was my number 3, Batman.
Mm-hmm. My number 3. Okay, what's your number? My number 3 is Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah, that's my number 1.
Okay, I'll talk about it a little bit, and then you can talk about it, and then we'll.
We have the same number 2, I think.
We'll see. But anyway, so I'm not going to go into details necessarily because Orange Hat and I already did 1 and 2 streams covering the first Lethal Weapon and Lethal Weapon 2. But it's the sequel in a franchise that's pretty much consistently good. In terms of basically quality, is every movie great in the franchise? No, not necessarily, but they're all good to a degree. They're all entertaining, and it's one of the few consistent franchises out there. And this is a sequel that's set 2 years after the events of the first film, where you have Riggs and Murtaugh basically they're working together and pursuing drug traffickers, and they find out that these drug traffickers are actually connected to illegal shipments of gold in the form of Krugerrand coins, which basically were illegal at the time because of what's happening in South Africa with the apartheid.
Also, a little bit of trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Drake and Vasquez from Aliens are in it.
Oh, yeah. Yes. And the villain is able to hide behind a little thing called diplomatic immunity, which makes it difficult for Riggs and Murtaugh to basically basically bring the bad guy, the mastermind, to justice because of that element, which makes it difficult because they have all the pieces together. They just can't arrest him. They can't touch him because of diplomatic immunity. And I love that. That's the end line, pretty much. It's just been revoked.
Yep. I've seen this movie 100 times.
Yes.
A friend of mine had 1, 2, and 3. And I was there when he bought 3 because we didn't even know when it had come out. And we saw it at a video store.
Yeah.
I'm like, shit, Lethal Weapon 3? Grab it.
Yeah.
I think I even chipped in. So, yeah.
So, it is, yeah.
This is like, one of those sequels that pretty much on par with the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think like it's close, but like the first one in terms of like comparison is better. But like the franchise itself is consistently good. Like there's no real, like when I say no real weak one, I mean like there's no real shit one in there.
Basically,
all entertaining.
The first one focuses on both of them. Mm-hmm. This one is more focused on Riggs.
Both more focused on.
And then 3 is more focused on Murtaugh because he shoots the kid, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is close to a 10 out of 10. Really.
Yes. Like you watch again, like just shameless plug. Orange Hat and I did this for the 1s and 2s, and originally Riggs was supposed to die in the second one. So there's a shot in there. So basically, there's like they shot both. Like one ending with Riggs dying and one ending with Riggs living, but they kept the aerial shots where Riggs has died in the movie. But even though technically he lives, there's technically a shot of him dead in the movie, and that's the aerial shot at the end before the credits start rolling.
And they're playing Knocking on Heaven's Door too.
Yes.
So
he was originally supposed to die, but they shot both endings because they weren't sure how people would respond, and they realized people would respond rather heatedly if he were to die, so they had him live.
I saw some disturbing news about 5. Actually, the lady who plays Murtaugh's wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was asked if she was going to be in Lethal Weapon 5, and she said no, because she had been told that Murtaugh's family had passed away. Like all of them.
Well, he was up there in age. But
yeah,
his kids?
All of them, except Murtaugh.
That doesn't make any sense.
If they were in, terror activity in the early 2000s.
I don't know. But
I don't know. That's what she said.
I don't know. But maybe Mel Gibson will it'll make sense. But yeah, I'm saying the kids at least should be alive. I can understand the wife maybe being passed away.
No, she said all of them.
I know, but I'm saying the kids don't make any sense. That character makes sense because of could be disease, could be cancer, could be anything. But the kids does not make any sense. Anyway, kind of have to speed through this. What's your number 2?
Same as you, Indiana Jones 3.
Yes, I had to have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, I was like, that's a given.
Yeah, it is like a given. And it was a given that it would be in my top 3 because it's actually my favorites. So basically our top 3 lit chats in my order is Lethal Weapon 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and then Batman.
Yeah, I have Batman, Indiana Jones 3, and Lethal Weapon 2. So
yes. So but Last Crusade is my favorite of the 3 because of Sean Connery. And it's
I called it too. Before the stream started, we're gonna have the same top 3.
So I'm saying I had to exclude certain movies. Back to the Future 2 didn't make the list. Ghostbusters 2 didn't make the list.
Yeah.
Let me go through the list of movies that I made. Like that, Ghostbusters 2 didn't make the list.
Karate Kid 3.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Heathers.
Christmas Vacation.
Pet Cemetery did not make the list.
Yeah.
See No Evil, Hear No Evil. Roadhouse did not make the list. Dead Poet Society. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Karate Kid Part 3, Weekend at Bernie's. There's so many fucking movies that came out that year.
Yeah. See No Evil, Hear No Evil was on my list, but I replaced it with Warlock.
Yeah. So I'm saying like
So,
there were so many good movies that came out that year that was really difficult.
yeah, Deep
And
Star
I
6.
didn't want to pick like necessarily obvious movies that I would watch because I was like, you know what, like there's other movies that I would watch if they were on now, and here they are.
Yeah. Dead Poet Society. It's not a bad movie. The
No.
Abyss.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, I mean, pretty much, I think most people here in the chat have seen Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and it's technically, in terms of the chronological order, in terms of the time frame the movie is set in, it would be the second, I believe.
No, because 2 is set before 1.
Two is, you're talking about Temple of Doom.
Yeah, that's before 1.
That's no, Temple of Doom is set in the like early 1930s.
Yeah, but it's set before Raiders.
But it couldn't be set before Raiders because Hitler didn't come to power until the 1930s.
Well, Temple of Doom doesn't have Hitler.
I know that. I'm saying I think it's before Raiders.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Which makes this one the third chronological.
But I thought this one took place technically before Temple Raiders.
No.
Yeah.
This is late 30s.
And Raiders is early 40s.
No. Raiders is 36.
I don't know, whatever. Anyway, but it still would be second.
No, it'll be third.
It does. Oh my god.
Temple of Doom, Raiders, and then this.
Okay, so Raiders is 36, right?
Yeah. This is 39 or something.
So, but they wouldn't be saying Heil Hitler necessarily in Raiders, but they still say it if they say it's placed in 36. Anyway, doesn't make sense historical wise then.
Now the map is wrong too because you see Thailand, but it was called Guam.
History wise, that's why I always like mix it up because I'm like thinking like how they have it is like it should be actually when Hitler's like later. It should actually be later than Last Crusade with what they do, but it's actually set before because they would not be saying Heil Hitler. I don't believe that.
Temple of Doom is 35. Lost Ark is 36, and then Last Crusade is 38.
Yeah. So it'd be so. I don't know. Hail Hydra. Anyway. But so anyway, basically to sum it up, because I do have to take my dog out and I have to wake up early tomorrow. Indiana Jones is asked to take over looking for the Grail, basically the piece of this inscription on this tomb, because they have like part of this inscription, but they need the last part to figure out where the Grail is. And he's brought on because his father's disappeared, and he's estranged from his father, and being brought on to figure out, like, find this like missing piece that they need, and figure out where the Grail could be. Puts him in basically in the crosshairs of the Nazis, and he really finds out that his father is actually alive and being held by the Nazis. At that point, he and his father need to team up to get to the Grail first before the Nazis do, because it's believed that if you drink from the Grail, you'll stay young. Basically, you'll have eternal life. I should have mailed it to the Marx Brothers. Yeah. And I love this one because of the chemistry between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. They play father and son, but in terms of like the actors' actual ages, they're actually pretty damn close in age. But it still works that they play father and son. And I love the airplane scene where Indy's saying, like, 11 o'clock, and his father's like, what happens at 11 o'clock? And Indy's trying to tell him, no, like, that's the direction the enemy's coming from, like 10, 11, 12.
Someone asked Harrison Ford in an interview how it works since Sean Connery is 12 years older than Harrison Ford, if it would work that he'd look like his dad, because he would have had to have a kid at 12. And Ford just looked at the interviewer and said, "Don't you know Sean Connery?"
Yeah. We named the dog Indiana. Yes. So I'm saying like the interaction, like Sean Connery just I love his addition to the movie. Like his like I like the it makes the third one my favorite in the trilogy. Is because
It's
of his
third,
chemistry
the
with Harrison Ford.
yeah, and the third one, it's not my favorite. Number one is always going to be my favorite, but the third one has the best story, easily.
Yeah, they did. If you notice, if you watch like as the films progress from the first like Lost Ark to the third movie, Marcus Brody, like in terms of the year releases, basically, because you have like Lost Ark, Temple of Doom. He's not in Temple of Doom, but like two from Lost Ark to Last Crusade, Marcus Brody kind of gets more absent-minded.
Yeah, I that's actually something a little bit of a gripe I had because they turned him into a comic sidekick
Yes.
in the third, where he's not like that at all in the first one.
No. He's not like that on the first one, even though
he is great at comedy though and all that. So it's
Yes.
not like it doesn't work, but it's still a little thing there that's they took that too far. Maybe
maybe a little bit, but John Rhys Davies returns as Sala in this movie, and has a like nice fight in a tank. Well, in a tank, on a tank. Faces different forms of mortality in the third one. Yeah, I like the tests he has to go through to get to the Grail.
And the villain, the guy who plays Hitler, and the Nazis you see in the background are all Imperial officers from Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah,
Hitler's played by Ozzel.
Julian Glover is the one, General Veers.
Yep. And then you have the Captain Nita, and all the other ones are in the background.
Yeah. So I know he wasn't in Raiders that much. He was in the beginning, but you definitely see that he has faculties to him. I'm talking about Marcus Brody. Like, he is not absent-minded. He's not befuddled. He is very much. There's very much clarity there with this character.
Yeah, competent.
But then
reflective.
But then you fast forward to Last Crusade, and he's kind of like the comic relief.
Yeah.
Because he is more absent-minded and a little bit more absent-minded, and it's a little little bit relies too much on the situational comedy with him, rather than like how he actually is in Raiders.
Oh yeah, Subhumans. The ARC.
Oh yeah, yes, the ARC reference, oh yeah, I remember that. It's like, you sure? Pretty sure. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm quoting the movie. Because Elsa asks, "Are you sure?" and Indy goes, "Pretty sure."
I have both of the video games. There was one action one, kind of arcade-ish, and another one that's point-and-click adventure game where you have to solve puzzles and use the actual diary that came with the game to help you solve puzzles. Kind of copy protection right there.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
I hate to rush, but I'm 9 minutes past my heart out. So
yeah, well, we should list up our top 10s then and just wrap it up.
And mine, from 10 to 1, is Earth Girls Are Easy, Young Einstein, Uncle Buck, Puppet Master, All Dogs Go to Heaven, Lean on Me, Little Mermaid, Lethal Weapon 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Batman.
Yeah, I have as number from 10 and down, Casablanca Express, which you can find on my channel. Blind Fury, Jason Takes Manhattan, Warlock, Best of the Best, Roadhouse, License to Kill, Batman, Indiana Jones 3, and Lethal Weapon 2.
Yep. And so again, real thank you, chat, for hanging out with us. Steve, again, let everybody know where they can find you should you choose them to do so.
Well, right here in 3 weeks. I guess
no, more like 4 weeks, because there's an extra Wednesday this month.
Oh, okay.
So in about a month, roughly, on I'll let you know.
Yeah, for the spooky weirdness thing with the
Yeah.
woo.
Oh God. And yes, we'll be going into the 90s.
However,
Film?
I might be featured on Mara's kick streams when we start the D&D stuff again because she tells the
Yeah.
stories.
I tell the D&D
Uh,
stories.
they're gonna start off and they're anal probed.
Oh God. Yep.
Yeah, I fucking did it. I don't regret a damn thing.
You never do.
No.
Anyway, chat. Again, thank you for hanging out with us. I'll be live tomorrow on my Kick and Twitch, most likely playing X Defiance, just a game that I can jump on fast and jump off. If basically if need be, so I don't have to do a long stream. Friday and Saturday, my plan is to return to Elden Ring. So I'll be like returning to that world Friday and Saturday. Sunday, I think, basically is becoming a watch party day of sorts. So might do a watch party Sunday afternoon since we're not doing D&D just yet. And then Talk Nerdy to Us should be on my Nerdy Homes channel Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, Soul Assassin. It wasn't like a BDSM anal probe. It was aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, old school anal. Not,
I don't know about any offline gaming. We'll see. Maybe some First Descendants if I have time, like during the afternoon. But like I said, might do a watch party. Sunday might show, even though it's not as good as the first two, the third Austin Powers movie, just because Michael Caine is in it, and we get the villain gold member.
He hates the Dutch.
Yes, I love that. Just for that line alone. Like there are two things I hate in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing: Dutch tourists in Norway, they're fucking assholes. He's right.
Yes. Anyway, but this is for that line, and the inclusion of Michael Caine is pretty much the reason why I would show it. But anyway, I do have to go. I do have to go take my dog out and get some sleep. So thank you, Sieg, again for top 10. Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us. Next week is Mad Max. The following week is Mad Max Road Warrior or Mad Max 2, wherever you are in the world. And then the singles are Legend of Tarzan and Voyage of the Demeter. And yes, I agree. Beyonce is pretty much the only big negative in Austin Powers 3. So take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. And we will see you all later. Peace.
Bye.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.